Assalamualaikum and hi there. So in this video, one of the reasons why we're doing this channel, this vlog, is to share bits of our lives with you guys. If you're finally watching this, we have finally decided to share this part of our lives with you. The journey of us trying to conceive. At the time of this recording, it is 30th of May 2021. We've been trying to conceive for almost a year now, and unfortunately it's not our time yet. So what we've decided is to seek help clinically.
I mean, we always thought that we would go and see a doctor because we're both, okay, me personally, I'm a little bit older. We're 33 and coming up to 33 at the time that we're talking about it. So we knew coming into marriage that we wanted to start conceiving or start trying to conceive pretty soon after the wedding. But we also knew that like age would be a factor, etc. So I think pretty early on we had decided like we'll try for a few months and then we'll just go and get ourselves checked to make sure that everything's okay before we keep on trying. Okay, and in Singapore, I don't know if it's the same everywhere else, but in Singapore generally, if you're not medically unwell, they say to try for about a year before coming to seek fertility help. So okay, can't really do much about it, but I actually had to see the OBGYN last year for because there was a little bit of a change in the menstrual cycle, so just so happened to see the OBGYN at one of the hospitals last year. We won't mention the hospital because we're not going there anymore. But I went to see the OB last September or August, something like that, just for a quick scan and check up and make sure that everything was okay and everything was good. So there was a follow-up which happened about a month ago, I would say, and that follow-up was the reason why we decided to change hospitals and clinics. So when you want to go on your trying to conceive journey, you generally don't see an OBGYN, like a general OBGYN. You generally go and see or try to see a fertility specialist. Didn't know there was such a thing. And the hospital that we were going to previously, I just had a really bad experience the last time that I went. The doctor was just really not nice. She was really rude, and she made me feel basically that we didn't deserve to have children. So I was really traumatized after that appointment and immediately asked my friends who were also on the TTC journey, and they recommended that we go over to KKH, which is the Kandang Kerbau Hospital in Singapore, which is the specialist like women's and children's hospital in Singapore, because they have a reproductive medicine clinic there. So we went back to the polyclinic. I went back to the polyclinic, got a referral from the doctor, because if in Singapore, if you go directly to the hospital, you have to pay like private prices, and because we don't know how long this journey is going to be and what it's going to entail, we didn't want to do that. So we were going to take the public route. So I just had to get a referral from the general practitioner at the polyclinic, and then they made an appointment for us at the reproductive medicine clinic at KKH. So we're pretty lucky that we got an appointment pretty soon after. I think the appointment was like maybe a month later, which is pretty good from the public route. So we went on the 27th
of May
to go and see the doctor for the first time.
That was a few days ago before this recording.
Yeah. So we went. We don't really know what to expect at that point. Like, we know obviously there's gonna be a lot of questions, there could be some tests, but really don't know what to expect. And we're not going for IVF or anything. We're just going to make sure that everything is okay for the both of us, because he has not had any scans or any tests done yet.
Get ourselves checked out.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done my scan and that was clear, but we had no blood drawn or anything like that. So we just wanted to make sure everything was okay, and then talk to the specialist to see what we could do next. So we went. There was a little bit of a cock up with the appointment booking, like the polyclinic didn't book properly or something like that. So we had to wait for a little while. from the stories that my friends have shared in particular, they said that all the consultants for the reproductive medicine department are all really, really nice, really assuring. But still, coming off the back of the last appointment, I was still a little bit worried and a little bit unsure about what was going to happen. And so we went. We waited for about an hour.
Just over an hour.
Just over an hour. It didn't take too long. We were supposed to wait for much longer because there was the cock up with the appointment. But we were very lucky. About an hour-ish, they called us in. And I think it's standard when you're like a first-time patient at the reproductive medicine clinic that they'll get a more comprehensive family history from both of you.
Yeah.
So the consultants, I believe it was his resident who asked us all the questions, from things like any chronic disease history in our families, do we smoke, do we drink, frequency of intercourse, any bleeding after intercourse, any issues with menstrual cycles, what we do for work, what else? I think that's it.
Have we had our medical histories?
Yeah, medical histories, any issues with us in the past, etc. So they get a pretty comprehensive like workup of your personal your history, and then the doctor came in. So on the 27th, we actually got to meet Professor Jerry Chan.
Jerry Chan, yeah.
Jerry Chan, okay, and it was so clear he had just come off like a surgery because he was still in his scrub cap and his mask and everything. But he was really nice. He was really friendly. Made jokes. Even though the questions were like really personal that they had to ask us, they made us feel pretty comfortable throughout, you know. And then the doctor was very like it was very clear that the doctor was very experienced in handling couples who were trying to conceive.
Exactly.
He really made you feel at ease. Even though he went through a lot of things that we needed to go through after, like the procedures that we needed to go through after this, the tests, but it didn't feel like he was dismissive. It didn't feel like he was like you were just one other patient, you know. He was really like warm, and he made you feel like he was there and he was going to help you,
which was very important. Yes.
Yeah. And we know that we may not see him again because it's the public route. So when you're a public patient, you don't necessarily get the same doctor all the time. But it was a really good first experience, just to make us feel at ease. And then he told us basically that so then he wanted to do a scan for me, just like a follow-up, because the scans from the previous hospital, for whatever reason, they were not uploaded into the system, so he couldn't see what was happening. But bedside in the doctor's office, they can't do a full scan, so he just did a scan of the womb to make sure, one, that I'm not already pregnant, and two, that there wasn't any like cysts or polyps in the womb, just to make sure everything was okay, there wasn't anything to worry about. So we did that, and he was really nice, he was really gentle. He made sure to check in that I was okay, that I wasn't feeling any pain the whole time, and then he basically walked us through what was going to happen next. So he basically shared that we would, for Muaz, he would have to go and deposit like a semen specimen at the hospital. So they gave him this beautiful yellow cup.
We have to deposit my boys into this.
Yeah. So this was given to us actually after the appointment by the senior nurse. So she said basically you can either deposit at home and then like drop it off within 1 hour of collection, because apparently that's how long the boys last outside of the body, or you could go down to their clinic and deposit there on the date that she's given him.
They have a special room for that.
Yeah. I think it's very exciting. It's very exciting. It's probably just a room with a chair. But yeah, basically.
And what important note is I have to deposit my old boys 4 days before the date.
You gotta like clear the system.
Yes,
clear. She said you've got to clear the system 4 days before, and then you've got to let the system kind of fill up again before you go in for the deposit. Anyway, yeah, so the nurse gave him a date for him to go down, do the deposit, and then that would take, I think she said 2 weeks before they got the results back. But the doctor did tell us, like Professor Jerry Chan did tell us that by the time all the tests and stuff were done, he would probably only see us about 5 to 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
So for Muaz, he's only going down on the 14th of June for the deposit. So 2 weeks after that, then he would get results. And then for myself, I have to go, like we're waiting for the woman. Basically, they need to wait for the menstrual cycle, the next cycle, which should be any day now. But basically on the first day of the cycle, I have to call up the clinic and then and they'll give me a date for a full scan, a scan which includes a dye. So they basically want to inject this dye up into my womb and into my fallopian tubes, and then what they're basically doing is then they're going to take x-rays, like multiple x-rays, to make sure that the dye doesn't leak out of the fallopian tubes, because apparently such a thing apparently this is something that happens to people, or it happens to some people, that some women, that sometimes your fallopian tubes aren't necessarily connected fully to your to your ovaries. So when the ovaries are, like, the mature egg is developed and the ovaries ovulate, sometimes the eggs don't go down into the tube. So he just wants to basically cross out that issue. So they'll inject the dye into the womb. The dye will go up into the fallopian tubes, and then they'll take x-rays to make sure, to check that the dye doesn't leak out of the fallopian tubes at the ovaries. So we're doing that at another clinic, because he said that basically if we wait at the hospital, it's going to take like 3 or 4 months. But they have a sister clinic, so we'll do it there. And then that's on the day 1 of the menstrual cycle. I have to call them up, and they'll give me an appointment, I think day 10 or 11, she said, for me to do that dye x-ray situation. Then on day 28 of the menstrual cycle, I have to go down to the hospital to take a blood draw, basically. They just want to check for any hormonal imbalances, not estrogen and progesterone, surprisingly. It was some other thing that's written on the paper. I need to go and check what it is, but just to make sure that there wasn't any issues with hormone imbalance. And then she said to wait for the hospital to give us 2 appointment dates. So we've got the 2 appointment dates. One is on the 14th of July, so that's just for me, I think, to go down and do a full scan of the womb and the ovaries, make sure the thickness and everything is okay. And then the second appointment is when we will see the consultant again, which is on the 2nd of August. So we're in May at the moment. So yeah, he did say it would take about 6 to 8 weeks before they'd see us again. And because of COVID and everything now, I think they also need to minimize the number of appointments they can make for all of the clinics, which is why maybe our appointments are a little bit later. And also because they need to wait for 1 cycle of mine to go through. So that's it basically at this point.
So
we're just gonna, that's like basically like the preliminary tests is what they're calling them, to make sure that we're both okay. There's nothing medically wrong with us trying to there's nothing medically wrong that's getting in the way of us conceiving.
To be honest, I know there's only, on my part, is just to check my boys. I'm actually I can't help but feel a bit concerned whether if my boys are healthy and strong, strong swimmers. I think every man always hope that they have strong swimmers. So inshallah, everything is good news. Inshallah.
Yeah, God willing. So after this, we don't really know what's the next step. Whether the doctor will, obviously there's 2 routes. One is they give you medication in case there's anything wrong. They give you medication and you continue to try to conceive, or we go down the IVF route, like the in vitro route, which I don't think we want to do yet. I think at this point we just want to make sure that everything's okay, and then see what the doctor advises us to do. I'm already taking like folic acid and a prenatal vitamin, as recommended by the previous hospital. So the doctor was quite happy that I was already on that, and I've been on that for about a year. So those of you who are trying to conceive, I would suggest start taking that even like a few months before you try, just because your body takes a while to really use and absorb all of those nutrients properly, the vitamins properly. We'll link or put like the prenatal vitamin that I'm taking in the description in case you want to have a look.
You want to check that out, okay?
This is a vitamin that you can take prenatal, during pregnancy, and postnatal as well. So it was recommended by a friend whose OB/GYN recommended it, and then our OB at the previous hospital also recommended for us to take it. So it's not too expensive, and it's just like a multivite for daily consumption.
So I guess that's about it. So that's the end of the first part of our journey towards conceiving. So if you wanna
we're basically recording all this, not just to share with everyone, just for our own memories as well, so we can look back and remember, because like I said, we don't know how long the journey is gonna be. I mean, hopefully not so long. And we can have a baby soon, but we don't know what God's plans are for us. So
if you want to continue, if you want to follow through our journey, maybe take a look at these clips over here.
But it's the first video. We wouldn't have any clips yet.
I'm not gonna put this up.
Yeah, but if this is the first one that we're gonna put up later, we wouldn't put the next ones up yet. So what are you going to be linking here?
So maybe by the time I put this out, I have like the second video.
But then you would have to already post the second video.
Sure.
Yeah, so we don't need to do that. Okay, bye.